file because I'd be all over this right now. Okay, so back to Oahu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's you drive the island and you get concrete jungle. Correct me if I'm wrong. Concrete jungle, and then you've got like Turtle Bay, Waikiki, all that. Then you go around and you got Blowhole on the east side, and you're like, where's this tropical thing that they keep talking about? All of a sudden you get up on the, I guess it's the northeast side, and it's this tropical jungle and all this. And then you have North Shore. And then you start driving up through the middle of whatever. And I'm like, what the hell are those trees?
Yeah.
Those are pineapple trees. I'm like, they're only this big.
Okay.
Oh, neat. But then then like the west side is all this dry, arid. I mean, you get all of it on this beautiful tiny island with delightful people.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong one bit.
Okay. It is just like, we were snorkeling. We were supposed to be whale watching and dolphin thing, and no whales. But the dolphins are all out there jumping in the water and everything.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I didn't want to say this while you were out there snorkeling, but there was something really, really big that was swimming under you, and I didn't want to freak you out. I'm like, thank you.
Oh, is it a stingray?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't want to know.
How long have you been there?
Oh, since '93.
Okay, so you are a native now. Yeah.
Well, I might think that, you might think that, but the locals don't think that.
Right. Yeah.
They have a name for you, don't they?
Well, kind of. Are you talking about the perhaps derogatory name?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of the word Howley?
Is that what it is?
Howley is, the white man who ruined everything for the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
They also have the ones that you're just not native there. I forget what that one is too.
Okay.
Like, but as long as you learn to say mahalo, you're good, right?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about mahalo. The word mahalo means thank you.
Yeah.
And when you come here to Hawaii, you'll see the word mahalo printed on the sides of trash cans. So a lot of people who come here and visit Hawaii for the first time see that, and they identify with that word, and they think mahalo means trash, but really it means thank you for throwing away your trash.
No.
So there are a few little ins and outs you need to know.
Okay. Wow.
Warm.
You're warm.
I'll
Oh,
take my sweater off.
okay.
Give them the rundown.
You got a hot
I'm gonna
flash.
get rocking and rolling.
Okay, so this is how it's going to go. You can see our table. We don't have show notes. We treat this like a conversation over cocktails, which it basically is. We've got a bottle of wine here, and just our delightful personalities. But we'll ask you what your why is, and then we'll just kind of keep the conversation going by asking you probing questions. We do, probing questions. They will be probing.
Okay.
And then we'll start fighting over who gets to ask the next question is usually what happens. We get really excited. I'm like, no, I want to ask the next
I
question.
can see you, Joey.
You can,
Really
you
see
do.
it.
Well, you do sometimes.
Give me that.
But then you go like
Give me
this.
that.
Like,
Well, just
anyway.
because I forget stuff sometimes, and if I don't get it out right then, it's gone.
First of all,
But
friends, what are you drinking today?
we are drinking a Campo Viejo Rioja. What are you drinking? Rioja. Yeah. What are you drinking?
This is the very finest that God can put in the glass.
Water.
Any guesses? Yes. There you go. Nailed it on the first.
If you want to get a glass of wine at 12:30, some day drinking, you're more than welcome to.
Right. Yeah. If it was nighttime here, I'd be all in there with you.
Okay, I get it. I have a hard time with drinking wine during the day. I just want to go take a nap when I'm done.
And that's why you drink tequila instead.
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I don't.
Ranch water.
Yeah, ranch. Well, yeah, okay, I'm full. But we do, we mind your time. We'll keep it to 60 minutes. We have timers, so we know when to kind of do the natural exit of the conversation. And Darren's really good at that. You'll kind of know when we're done. And then when he stops the recording, if you could just stay on the line so we can wrap up, do some administrative work, and then go from there.
I'm getting
Super.
sniffed.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
None at all.
Whoa!
I'm getting sniffed.
You're good. Oh, wait. Let me introduce you to somebody. Come here, sweetie.
Don't upset her.
No, she's
She's
okay.
sniffing me.
Well, that's
She's
good.
trying to get her boxer acclimated to other humans.
Say
Oh,
hi.
hello. Who is that?
This is my boxer Tilly, and we've had her a year. She's a rehome, and she's a little shy, especially of men. I'm not sure why. We think it may have been a situation in her prior home or something, but she met Darren once and just kept doing drive-bys on him like a shark. She wouldn't
Sure.
stop.
Can I get down to?
Yeah. So I'm trying to get her out more to get her a little more acclimated. She's a
Hi,
dog.
Tilly.
Yeah. She said hi. But she's a dog's dog. She loves other dogs. It's adult men that she's like a little nervous of. So yeah, we'll get her there. She'll be good. But
I'm sure
quiet.
she's not the only one who's afraid of adult men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Darren. He's so mean.
Oh, yes. Darren, you're so scary.
Yeah.
I know.
The gray hair. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions, you're ready to get started?
Rock and roll, my friends.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right,
I'm
here we
gonna
go.
hit record. So we're doing commercial inserts now. So I'm going to hit record and I'm going to hit stop and I'm going to hit record again. Just so you know. Folks, welcome to Toasting the Business. Lynn,
Hey now.
glad to see you again.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to see you too. I mean, it's been a bit.
This
Before Christmas.
I know. And it's at that weather time, I think, where you get the kerchief thing. I don't know what else to call it.
Well, yeah, it's my bandana.
It's a little pop.
Yeah, it's my little pop color. Kind of keeps my neck a little warm.
I'm assuming it's not too cold, so it's not muffler scarf.
No,
and
it's
not
that
warm.
mid-range scarf. Yes.
It's just enough. Keep it off the neck.
Mhm.
I
Do you know
get it.
we're supposed to get snow again on Friday?
Yes.
I know.
I love it. I love it. Sorry, I'm happy.
I know some people aren't. It's kind of fun. Yeah.
We got a special guest in the studio with us today.
We do.
We got the Opie dog.
We have Tilly the dog. She's a 3-year-old American boxer. Trying to get her acclimated to Darren specifically. So she doesn't keep doing drive-bys on you. But she's here in the studio. She's very quiet. You won't hear her bark, but she's kind of roaming around in here, checking things out.
Taking a look.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Thank you for coming back.
Believe
I know I'm
me,
going to lose
I'm
you one
happy.
more time
Yeah.
in a couple weeks, but I got a good co-host to help out,
Mhm.
to fill in.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that.
Okay.
But, we started this new thing while you were gone. We actually
Oh,
have,
really?
besides Perspective, we have other sponsors now.
Oh, that's
on
right.
the podcast. And I will say this, if you're interested in being a sponsor on the show, just reach out to us at podcast@toastingthebusiness.com and we can discuss it. It's not super expensive.
No, it's not.
It's enough to pay for a bottle of wine.
Or less sometimes,
Or
depending
less.
upon the situation.
I'll tell you what, the bottle of wines are going to go up.
Yeah, we're gonna go higher on the shelf at the liquor store.
But anyway, let's just take a moment and hear a word from our sponsors. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back.
Hey,
Now you're ready?
yeah, I'm ready.
We got a great guest.
We do.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember how it worked. If Matt reached out to us, if we reached out to him, but I know I read like his resume
Uh-huh.
and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah,
It's meant to be.
we have to talk to him.
Yeah.
So now we're going to introduce Matthew Gray. Matthew, do you go by Matthew or Matt? I forgot to ask this before we started.
I usually go the formal route, so Matthew usually, but whatever you're comfortable with, guys.
Yeah, I'm going
Matthew's
to call
fine.
you Matthew.
Yeah.
Mr. Gray, how about that?
Oh, no, don't do that.
Oh,
that-
I sound like
that
your
would
grandfather.
Confuse the two of us. Some people call me Mr. Gray just because of my hair. So, well, Matthew, welcome to the show. And Lynn was reading your stuff just a little bit ago too, and she's like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, food, and more food."
Touring and all the things that go with it. And the name of your podcast is 50.
The name of my podcast is called 50 Tastes of Gray.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
clever. I like that. 50 Tastes of Gray.
Last name.
Yeah,
the
I get it.
play.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just making
I
sure.
get that.
I needed it drawn out with a picture with crayons.
You did?
Before I finally.
Who did that for you, Linda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you, we're a little bit smarter than the
I
average bear,
know,
us women.
I
Yeah.
know.
Good, good. So tell us, what's your why? How did you get started? With your podcast as it stands now. What is your history with food and all things in between?
Oh, that's not too much of an open question, is it?
Well, just start somewhere.
Where do I begin? You want me to begin at the end? It sounds like you want me to begin here, not there, huh?
Yeah, let's begin at the end. What are you doing right now?
I'm
And
doing
where?
I'm doing the show 50 Tastes of Gray, which is a kind of a soft, easy look into people's personalities. We talk about psychology, we talk about food, very food forward over here. We talk about society and culture. My background in talk radio goes all the way back to the 80s. So doing a podcast now is a lot of fun. And this is the culmination of a long career in my background regarding food, entertainment, cooking, chefing, travel, rock and roll, and all of that.
Oh my gosh, all my favorite things.
I know. I want your life. Could I just switch right now?
I know.
All things food. We could be on the podcast talking about it. Lynn's one big thing, like when she tries to describe a wine that we're drinking, all her gauge is it's either a pizza wine or it's not a pizza wine.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little
Like
lowbrow sometimes. Yeah.
She's like, this is great to have with pizza.
Pizza. Yeah.
And then
This is a good just sipping wine that we have right now. But fascinating. So you were in talk radio, and then where did the journey into food come in? What was it at the same time you were in talk radio?
My journey into food began when I was a little kid, watching my mom move about in the kitchen, where I learned about food, aroma, plate architecture, color, and taste. So this started early on, and then it just developed since then.
Okay.
Your mom taught you all that?
She taught me the love, and she taught me the appreciation, but she didn't teach me the technique, so to speak.
Yeah, because food architecture and color and place, that's a lot. I know. I mean, the one thing I learned from my mom was how not to cook on burn. And as long as I knew that I didn't cook food like she does on burn, it was okay. It was palatable.
Okay.
But no, I started cooking when I was 5, actually.
Oh, you did.
So yeah.
That's dangerous. That's
Probably
cool.
like you,
That's
young
a whole
age.
other podcast
Yeah,
right
well,
there.
no, but you might have had the same thing. It was you're 5 years old. You're not allowed to use the stove unless there's adult supervision there, and that kind of thing. And then you kind of sort of get in trouble because you're trying to make your parents breakfast in bed.
Yeah.
And they come out and they're like, "What?
What are you
You
doing?"
made
Yeah.
eggs and what? And everything." I'm like, "I was trying to surprise you guys."
Yeah.
How about you?
I used to use our pet, Happy. He was a little doggy, as my step stool when I was watching my mom move about the kitchen. So I'd step on him and see what was cooking on the range there. So I learned very early on how to move about inside the kitchen and what the choreography is all about.
Interesting. That's great. So would you say your mom was a good cook?
She was in all honesty, she was a very good housewife type of cook, or home type of cook. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What was her inspiration? Did she use The Joy of Cooking or Betty Crocker's? Do you remember the ubiquitous Betty Crocker cooking book? Or was she getting recipes from other people? Like, how did she get her start?
You trade him on.
And did she share it with you?
Business card.
Yeah, you did. You used to trade recipes. Yeah.
She had huge files of recipes, and she was always looking for new tastes and exciting flavors because she had a family to feed, but she was creative. So she was always looking for different things to make.
Okay. I was a victim of the Jell-O mold that had shredded carrot and black olives in it. Were you a victim
Black
of that?
olives.
Yeah, it was the whole thing. The one side of the
In my mom's kitchen, everything was amazing except fish. Fish night was the worst.
Okay.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew when mom was cooking fish.
Where did you grow up?
Syosset, Long Island.
Long Island. So you were, I mean, it was Friday fish fry. You know, it was Friday fish.
Well, not for us. I mean,
Not for
maybe
you.
for Christian types, but
Okay.
not for my family. It's like mom would just whip out fish when she had nothing else to do. When she wanted to punish us.
Oh, God.
That was it. You couldn't even have the Gordon's fish sticks.
Now, those would have been huge and wonderful.
So she inspired you when you were living at home, and then so you've taken this for the long run. You've taken it and have built it into a career. Once you got out of the house, what did you do next?
When I got out of the house, actually, when I was in high school,
Mhm.
I was asked to join the Eagles on their Hotel California tour. And
Why?
so
My brain is exploding right now. And how did you? Where were you? Is this the right place at the right
He
time?
was
Is
out
it-
back smoking a
I
doobie by
know,
a bar trying to
exactly.
get in the back
Yeah.
door to listen to the Eagles play. It just happened.
Darren, did I just hear you say smoking a doobie?
Yes.
Is that what you said? Yeah, maybe that was part of it. Um,
Yeah.
I was in high school. My neighbors across the street, who were old men at that time, they were 21.
Oh,
They asked me, "Hey Matt, would you like to go on the Hotel California tour with the Eagles?" And I said, "Wow, that sounds fantastic, but I have to ask my parents for permission." So went back into the house. I asked them. They said, "Sure, go ahead. Leave high school early. Have a good time. You're a young man. Have fun." Now, they would have never done that with my older sister, but for me, they
right.
just wanted me to explore and adventure and all that.
Mhm.
So within a very short period of time, I left high school, went out on the road with the Eagles in a merchandising capacity.
Okay.
And that's what I did for about 3 years. Pink Floyd, Fleetwood Mac, Supertramp, Led Zeppelin, on and on and on, all the bands of the time.
Oh,
So
you sold merch.
All the good stuff.
You were
it
a
was
merch man. That's awesome.
it was cool. So got to do that. I got to live the life, the drug, sex, and rock and roll life. Well, all my buddies back home were getting their job at McDonald's. And so it was kind of like a fantasy thing for me, but it was wonderful. I got to travel and make a lot of money and see a lot of interesting people over the years. And so I did the rock and roll game for a few years and then went to London to school to Cordon Bleu and became a real chef on paper. And yeah, so that was pretty amazing.
You went from the short hat to the big hat.
Kind of, that's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Cordon Bleu.
I know.
You got to tour with all these people. So I have a question. You toured with all the bands, and occasionally you get to see them, depending on doing the merch. And you said you were with Fleetwood Mac. You live in Hawaii, and Mick is over on Maui, I think. Mick
I'm
Fleetwood.
living in Hawaii now, but I wasn't living in Hawaii
No,
then.
no. What I was asking is if you guys were like you had known him well enough where you could reach out to him, considering all the devastation that had happened in Maui, and he's got that bar restaurant that was totally wiped out as well. And it's like, hey, if your house was destroyed, you can come over and crash on my couch over here in Oahu. Well, no, you didn't do that.
I didn't do that. There are just too many lives between then and now to be able to reach out, you know.
What did you like about, I mean, Cordon Bleu is so precise with their, I mean, and you learn a lot about in the culinary world. I know people go, they're like, I could just be my own chef. And you learn a lot about going to culinary school more than just cooking and blending spices, because there are techniques and all that. You learn about front of house, back of house, but also to cook on scale, right? So you cook for 4 people and you're making this dish and the spices and seasonings are a certain way. But when you make that dish for 50, because they teach you hotel capacity and buffet capacity, you learn how to scale things correctly. So it's like you might have used a teaspoon of salt on that, but because you go from 4 to 20 doesn't mean you put in 5 times the amount, because now you're gonna. What are some of the interesting things you learn in culinary school? I'm gonna shut up.
Well, you learn the real formal approach to cooking. So the classical cuisine is French, and you learn recipes, hygiene, management, you know, how to handle staffs, how to do inventory, how to do all the numbers. So it was a very formal approach. It was a real high-end education. It was much more focused than kind of a liberal personality would normally have. But it was a good balance for me in the long run. Now, when I look back over my shoulder, I can connect all those dots and I see how healthy it was to learn that.
Yeah.
Good. Did every dish, what the first thing they teach you on day one is, here's the butter, here's the white wine. You open the white wine, you pour a glass, and then you just add butter to a pan, because everything that's in French cuisine starts with butter. Okay.
That is an ingredient that I always have to have, and you just named the two ingredients that I have to have always, and it's wine and butter for sure. And part of it's for the chef, and part of it's for the dish for you.
Sure.
White wine just brings out the flavor and some.
So does lemon rind. Did you realize that? Lemon rind and lemon juice tend to bring out flavor in.
We should probably ask the expert.
Yeah. Do you feel the same way?
Well, here's the thing: alcohol soluble flavors are more well suited to wine, and certain other flavors more suited to lemon juice, like you said. So in the absence of wine, lemon juice might work, but in the presence of flavors that break down or meld or combine well with alcohol, then you definitely want to use wine in your cooking.
Okay. All right.
I'm
going to stay in my lane.
You're good. No, you can't. This is what we are learning. We always need to learn.
I know. I do.
That's why we have our guests.
Yeah.
But I have one other question about that, because I want to know the difference between, brining has become a big thing in the past decade, even though it's been around forever. But brining, it's like, well, brine this, brine that. And then you have the old school people, probably like your mom, who you said was cooking for the family. And I'm sure the difference of like doing a pot roast for Sunday afternoon, back then it was like, well, you take a can of Coca-Cola or root beer and you pour it in there the day before and let it sit, and all the acid breaks it down, versus you can brine it and kind of get the same, because they're like, well, it breaks down the meat a little bit and it keeps the moisture in it so it doesn't dry out too much. Which side do you fall on?
Well, definitely the more of the techniques that are involved. So brining and fermenting and spatchcocking and all of these terms that you might have read or heard or seen, I kind of stick to those things when I'm doing my cooking. So even though for myself, I cook very simply, but for my guests, my friends, I cook over the top.
Mm-hmm. I'm a peasant cook.
I am too.
Like I love my Dutch oven dish, and I just throw it all in. If I can do that, I'm happy.
Right. Sheet pan cooking for me is the way I go. Just one pan, one sheet, throw it in the oven. It's all done.
Roast everything and be
Yeah.
I'm
I'm kind of the same way. I prefer to cook for a crowd versus just
I'm looking forward to it Saturday.
I know.
Oh, what's on the menu for Saturday?
She's probably making pasta of the horrors again.
No, I'm not. I made pasta puttanesca the last time he came over. I go, this is pasta of the horror. And he's like, what? He went nuts. I'm like, yeah.
It was delicious.
We're going to have a pork tenderloin.
Oh?
Yeah, I don't know what the sides are yet, but that's
Linda's going to want something with the
giardinara?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I can arrange that. Yeah.
Just put it
Lynn, that's interesting that you're talking pork, because just yesterday I braised 2 pork loins, and then I forked, kind of pulled them together, so it's sort of like pulled pork the way it came out. So just an hour and a half on the stove, and it's something amazing.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's an alternative. I usually just put it on a grill with a rub and slice it and serve it. So
sure,
way to do it.
Before we get to the next question, because I want to know what you did after.
You still want to talk about pasta before?
No, I want to talk about. Lynn goes, she said, well, here's what we're doing for Christmas. She goes, have you ever done a standing rib roast? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, I've tasked my husband to do this, and he's pulled up like 20 different YouTube videos and all that. Like, he took a deep dive into. How did it turn out?
It was excellent. It was absolutely fabulous. But my husband is aircraft engineer, and it's like analysis through paralysis through analysis. And I said, you need to put a steak in it, literally, like put a fork in it, make it stop, and just pick a recipe and go with it. And he did. He picked a wonderful recipe, and it turned out to be fantastic, and actually a lot easier than we thought it would be to cook. But the hang up is always, oh my God, I'm paying this much for this piece of meat. I don't want to screw it up. So do you find that other people feel the same way about expensive pieces of meat or meals that are like, I can't screw this up, so I'm not even going to cook it, or I'm going to overanalyze what I'm doing?
People are just scared of cooking it for the most part. So yeah, when they're picking up an expensive ribeye or brisket or standing rib roast or something, yeah, they are a little bit paranoid, and they do get into that analysis paralysis place. And so everyone's on YouTube these days looking for recipes. But the
Yeah.
thing that they don't teach on YouTube, or that's difficult to learn by looking at a screen, is the technique. So you can get everyone's recipes, you could watch them, but unless you do it and get the feel for it, the technique makes all the difference in the world. For instance, if someone who doesn't cook and I had the same ingredients, whose final dish do you think would come out better?
Right.
I'm going to take yours.
I'm going to take yours.
And the reason is because of the technique involved. So I know how to do those things. Other people have yet to learn that.
Right, right. And that's, I mean, back to you learned this at home. You were exposed to this at home. I mean, there's so many people out there that like, no, both my parents worked and we just had quick meals and there are things I didn't learn about, and they're intimidated. They're not, they don't want to explore different things.
Yeah, it's turned, and I can see where I get it. And I understand it like way back when. You just, here's how you prep your dish. Just, you pull the aluminum foil back, be careful.
Those gross teeny dinners.
And you know that the center of that chocolate cake is going to be ice cold, and outside's going to be hot. But it's you've probably seen this throughout your career as you progress, because coming out of Cordon Bleu, and even now, I mean, I was telling Linda, I said, you know, growing up, one of the things I look forward to was shrimp cocktail on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's nice.
But it was like, that was something special. You had it once a year. Maybe if you went out to a nice restaurant, you could order it and have it. Now, I mean, you just go to the grocery store and shrimp. It's all there and it's everywhere. So it's changed over the years, and all the people have become more foodies in the past. I don't know. This is probably part of your podcast that you talk about. Have you seen this? Like, when did you start noticing the massive shift when people are like, damn, they're interested in food a lot more than they used to be?
That totally corresponds with 2008 and the uprising of social media.
Yeah.
And that's when food really took off for a lot of people.
And
photography.
I was going to say social media. I bet it was around about then. Yeah.
Everything has changed since 08 or 09 when Apple introduced the iPhone, and then everyone else has come board after that. So yeah, that has affected a lot of people in their desire or love of food, and taking photographs of it and showing the world what they ate.
Right. Yeah.
Too much.
Too much.
What'd you do after Cordon Bleu? Did you get a job?
I went back to LA where I had been living, and I hired a chef's agent. And I asked the chef's agent, not a literary agent. I see, Darren, you have a little quizzical look on your face.
I didn't know that was a thing. Wow.
So,
okay.
High-end domestic agent. And I said, I want to cook for, the biggies. And so that began a long time of me cooking for people like Dan Aykroyd, Robin Williams, a lot of the rock and roll bands I was with prior in the rock and roll days, and people all in the Hollywood world. So the producer of Flashdance, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop, stuff like that. So I cooked for the Hollywood elite, and I was doing various different entrepreneurial food-related businesses during those years as well.
Such as?
Pamper and Dine. Oh, sorry. Pamper and Dine was my business that combined massage and fine dining in people's homes.
Oh, wow.
Do you still have that business? Could you please bring it here to us?
If I did, Darren, you would be my first guy.
That is
but
perfect.
my partner was a masseuse and I was the chef. And so we'd go into people's homes all over Southern California. She would massage the two of you one at a time, obviously, while I was down in the kitchen preparing a pre-customized gourmet dinner for you guys.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like heaven.
Oh, and why'd you get out of that? Why did you still have this? Or did you sell it? Perfect.
We rode the wave and got into, People Magazine and National Enquirer and ABC and all that stuff. And it was just an only in LA kind of business back when we were doing that, and got huge publicity and just kind of kept moving on. That's been my background, is just to do something, get it successful, sell it, and then start up something else. So I started doing food manufacturing for the Trader Joe's chain, and we did gourmet finger foods, stuffed and dipped strawberries and stuffed mushrooms and just real high-end finger food for Trader Joe's.
For Trader Joe's.
Oh, I love Trader Joe's.
I
It's so
know.
great.
Their artichoke spinach dip
Oh.
with the pumpernickel pretzels.
Yeah.
And you put so good. So good.
So when
Yeah.
you were chef to, the famous of Hollywood, were you in their homes every day? Was it only just for special occasions? How did that work?
It depended on the contract and the length of the contract and what was written into it. But most of the time, it would be not a live-in position. I never took a live-in position. So it would be maybe special occasions, or it would be 5 days or 5 nights a week for the dinner time. So it all depended on what the contract was and what they wanted.
Okay. And then you were able, if they had a special diet, you're able to cater to that special
Yeah.
diet, or if
Oh,
they had
sure.
absolutely not, that should not ever cross my doorstep, that kind of food, don't bring it in. You just said, okay, I'll take it out of the whole
Right.
situation. Okay.
I get it. And you're cooking for the whole family, though. It's not just the celebrity. It's like the wife, maybe the mother-in-law, the kids, everybody else in the whole family. And I know I was playing golf with a guy one time, and he used to, one of the big tech guys, he had just exited out from being his personal chef for the family for 5 years. And it was breakfast, lunch, and dinner Monday through Friday. And then he had the weekends off. And he's like, and he started a dog food company with his wife down in South Florida.
Yeah.
But I can't remember who it was. Anyway, this sounds like a lot of fun. No, I tweaked my head because I've never thought about
I never
that.
thought
You're a
of a
chef to have an agent.
I know.
It
And when you
makes
said that, I
sense.
was like, God, that makes total sense. I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, people have never heard of that before, but there are a lot of high-end domestic agencies out there that place people in various different kind of exclusive positions.
Okay. So as an aside, would there be an agent for nannies or an agent for housekeepers or groundskeepers?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Along
depending on the agency, some of them might take on all of us if we're
Okay.
domestics, domestic helpers and things like that.
Sure. Well, talk about entrepreneurial. I mean,
Go from that to that
to that. Okay, so you did the massage
Keep going.
and chef, and you were a chef in some high-end clients. How many years did you do that? And then what did you do after that?
I was doing everything related to feeding, educating, and entertaining people from 1980 to 1993 when I moved here. So we're talking about 10, 15 years of doing all these food related entrepreneurial businesses and a couple of other side things I was doing as well.
And then you go to Hawaii.
Then I came to Hawaii.
Wow.
Here I be. And it was a love thing. And so moved for that, and big fish in the small pond is what I was thinking. And I came here and I lobbied myself to get the position for the food writer for Hawaii's largest newspaper. And I scored that. I beat out a couple thousand people who were nationwide who wanted that job. And I started doing restaurant reviewing and food writing for them. And so you can see there's kind of like a pattern here, right?
Yeah.
So I did that, and I reviewed restaurants. I was kind of quietly in the background, because when you're a restaurant reviewer for a real newspaper and a critic like that, you don't allow your identity to be known. So I did that for a number of years, and that was amazing. The best job in the world, until I started my next business after that,
So
which was
the
Hawaii food tours.
Oh, Hawaii food tours.
So that's
Okay.
what got me hooked.
Yeah,
We got to
yeah,
get to that, but
yeah.
I want to go back for a second, because
Mhm.
the popularity of the TV show The Bear. Have you watched that?
I'm
at all?
not.
Okay.
Not yet.
It's stressful, but it's good. Have you watched The Bear?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. And season 3 sucks. I'm sorry.
I
It really
heard.
does. It's
Somebody
awful.
said that it's awful.
But, and maybe you take it differently, but the one thing that they did show, and I think it was in the end of season 2 when they opened up the restaurant, or maybe I'm thinking of a different show. In the back on a wall, they have pictures of all the food critics
Oh,
and stuff.
was he in
And
there?
It's like, no, I don't.
Were you in there?
I don't know if he was actually on the show that bears one of the pictures. I'm
Oh,
just saying,
okay.
that's a real thing, isn't it?
It is. All the best restaurants try to snap photographs of the critics in their city, but and they do that through inviting you to various different kinds of functions and freebies and get-togethers and all that. But I didn't go to any of those for the express purpose to not allow my identity to be known. So everyone knew my name and everyone knew my words, but no one knew my identity, my face. So that was a big deal to me to make sure that everything came out legit. And when I made reservations, it was made under another name, and credit cards were always other names, so no one really knew who I was. I was just the guy at table 7 asking a hell of a lot of questions.
Oh, wow. Did you wear a disguise ever? Just
No one knew my identity, so there was no reason to have a
you really have
disguise.
to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I know. So how many you go in and you're reviewing of it, you're not going to overload the amount of food you're eating. Did you go in with somebody else or by yourself? And because you want to taste a variety of dishes, but you can't sit there going alone and be like,
10 dishes later.
This,
Yeah.
I couldn't eat another bite. It's a way for thing.
The men bucket for sure. Yeah.
So how did you do that?
Well, in nicer places, I always went with a companion or a group of people, so we could do just that. We could try everything without it looking too fishy. But even if it did look fishy to them, it was way too late for them to call an audible and change anything. So we definitely order a lot of food, even for the two of us when we'd go. We'd order way too much food for two, but a lot of people like to do that and then have doggy bags and bring it home. So, and I would always go at least twice for nicer places to be able to identify whether they were having an off night or an on night. Because it can go either way. And I wouldn't craft my review until I had been at least twice and tasted, a dozen or more food items.
Wow. I always wondered how that works.
You had a question bubbling right there. You were like,
What was I asked it about do you go in disguise, and then you asked it about how much food do you eat?
I got another question.
You got another you got another question.
I do. I want to know if it's true because everybody talks about the Michelin reviews. And they always say they come in, they do this, they intentionally drop a fork and wait. I mean, do they have a standard for real? And have they mixed it up over time to change it for people? Do you know?
Well, any of us who are good critics understand the experience of dining is not just how the food tastes. So it's how you treat it as you approach the restaurant. Is the valet good? Is the hostess good? Do they carry your glassware to the table, like this?
Right.
Which is probably a really bad thing if you were getting reviewed by me.
So on the podcast, he just gripped the glass from the top, folks.
Right.
And
so all of us have our pet peeves, when they come around and they ask you, are you done? And they kind of hover there, or they take the food away. But as soon as you put your fork down, there are certain energies that you're looking for, and certain things, like you said, dropping a fork. Do they tend to it? How quickly do they tend to it? Are they able to tell me if the food is fresh? Do they know how it was cooked? Do they know where it was sourced? So all of this is very important. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not just going in there and trying to get 1,000 words out of the experience. I want to see exactly how they create their choreography and how they deal with me as a customer.
Yeah, and it's Hawaii. It's obviously a series of islands. Were you island hopping to do these restaurant reviews as well? Yeah.
On occasion, but Oahu is like the lion's share of the population is here. So the lion's share of restaurants are, but yes, there are restaurants on all the islands, and I would go if necessary. Sure.
Right. And did you review some kind of lowbrow family restaurants, or did you just stay above a certain threshold of a type of a restaurant?
I did everything. I did the low end stuff quite often because, the people in Hawaii don't make a lot of money, and I wanted to make sure that their money and their hard-earned dollars were protected. So I'd write about the lowbrow places a lot. But the thing is, I would never slam a lowbrow mom and pop place.
Right.
Whereas the high end people who think their stuff don't stink, if they've got too much attitude and they're riding that attitude into the oblivion, I'll let them know if they weren't pulling it off. So I'd be very, very honest and very, very brutal when necessary with the big guys.
Sure.
right there in
Okay.
Waikiki when you're walking down the main drag, and
Uh-huh.
there's like a Hugo Boss and a Fendi and a something store like every other block, and they rinse and repeat.
Oh, okay.
There's a place in there, and coming out of Waikiki Beach, and you're driving east, heading toward Blowhole, and it was like just barely outside, and it was a breakfast place,
Mhm.
and it was like the largest cup of coffee
Mhm.
on the island. And I mean, they
It was like,
brought you like the big,
oh.
it was really good food too, but it was basic and simple and delicious. But I know when I was there, I was so excited. And you've been there since '93, so you may remember this. I don't know if it's still open, but we walked into this restaurant and it was a 5-course lobster
Whoa.
meal.
Oh, wow.
And I was so excited. I'm like, 5 courses of lobster. And I look across a person I'm with, and their face was like,
Really?
just,
Oh,
and I'm like,
so you got
okay.
tipped off before you even ordered?
And I'm like, you know what? Let's get out of here.
Okay. You got a vibe.
I thought it was something fun to do, but
Mhm.
let's get out of here. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
We went across the street to like Planet Hollywood and had a good burger and drank beer outside, and
Mhm.
people watched, and I was, hey,
Yeah.
Good
which was
time,
fine.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
but do you remember it was specifically that restaurant? I can't think of where the hell it was. It was a 5-course
Lobster
lobster.
meal. That's
I don't recall that, but I don't think that I'm aware of it. Unless you knew the name, then I'd probably.
I know,
have been
I
there.
know. I
Yeah.
wish I could tell you where it was too, but who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So now you do food tours in Hawaii.
No, I did from 2004 to 2020
well, that's what
because
you meant. That's what you meant.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm losing track of timelines.
No, that's
Apologize.
okay.
Yeah. So you were a critic for the newspaper, and so you got really plugged into the food scene. If I were to book a tour with you, where would you take me?
Mm. If you had booked a tour with Hawaii Food Tours from 2004 to 2020, you would have had an unbelievable day learning about the Hawaiian food, the culture, the architecture, the society, and all the flavors that the foods of Hawaii means. And that is food from all over Southeast Asia, China, Japan, all of that, because we have a huge influence of that kind of flavor here and that kind of person. So yeah, you would be fed and educated and entertained the entire day away from the touristy area of Waikiki that Darren made mention of.
Yes.
I have to say, Brent and I went on a food tour in Corfu this summer. I swear, those are our most favorite types of things to do because we get everything. Like you said, you get the culture, you get the history. Oh, and try this kumquat liquor. Not so much. I didn't really like it, but I tried it, right?
It's like putting cucumber in a beverage for me.
Yeah,
Don't
they
put
don't do it.
cucumber in any alcohol.
But now I know. But I just love those types of experiences to really get immersed in the culture. I mean, to me, food is like my gateway to the world, right? To
That's
discover
right.
what the rest of the world is like and what people are eating. And it's amazing because I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, which is not the hot spot of the culinary experience.
No, definitely not.
In the 1980s, it was not. We couldn't even
even-
get bagels there. Do you know that?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, now Tim Hortons is like monster.
Yeah, I
shit.
know.
Bagels and coffee.
Yeah, no, we could not get a bagel.
But we always talk about that though. I mean, we've talked about food tours before on this because I think that is, to me, that's important.
Mhm.
When you go doing a tour, a walking tour is a big deal, right? And I
Yeah.
think if you're traveling, you're going to be somewhere, great way to learn about the city. But after a little bit, you're getting a little. I need a
beverage. I
something.
need a snacky food.
And I've always said walking food tours are the way to go, and I love them. And I actually retain more
I do too.
of the history that I've learned about that you as the guide are telling me. It like soaks in more, and because there's, I don't know, with the
What's the
food in
science
there.
behind that? Do you
Well,
happen to know, Matt, what
No,
the
I'm
science
gonna
is,
give it a-
Matthew? What the science is behind the pleasure of eating and retaining knowledge?
Instead of just retaining water.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I was probably the second big food tour company in the United States. So it didn't really catch on until after I started Hawaii Food Tours. The first one was in San Francisco. Regarding your question about what is it about the experience that makes people enjoy these kind of tours, it's because they're really intimate. And, you're breaking bread with people. Everyone is in a good mood. They're in a new place. They're learning. They're laughing. All that kind of stuff is very positive for connection. And so when you create a positive environment, people will connect, and then that's what they'll retain and remember. So that wow factor is there because it's such a good time. And and when you really identify with something, you'll recall it and remember it. And so that's why we did so well, and that's why those kinds of tours are so successful.
Sure, sure. It makes total sense. I mean, I can't imagine, or I can't think of the last time I was miserable eating what was put in front of me. I mean, I have freedom of choice of what I
Correct.
eat, but there's always something associated with everything I eat and every trip I take, and the local food that I allow to nourish myself with.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah. So when you own that business, when you're running that business, for our listeners who want to become a small business owner or maybe want to become a company that offers food tours, what was the worst part about it and what was the best part about it?
Hmm.
Mhm.
I don't know if there was a worst part. Uh,
Mhm.
I really, I hit a good niche, and I left the greatest job in the world, which was getting paid to eat in Hawaii as a restaurant reviewer, and then
Yeah.
following my dream to open up Hawaii food tours. There was no tough part about it, unless you take a look at the first 2 years, which was quite brutal, building the business and trying to market this thing because people had never heard of it. So that was probably the worst part, was just the first 2 years, that struggle. So
Mhm.
the having to kick ass every day, every night, 20 hours a day to get it to the place to where it was cruising and growing for the better part of all those years. For 10 to 15 years, we were like slammed all the time. So
Wow.
that was great, very fulfilling. But the best part would be the guests. It would be you, it would be
Mhm.
Darren, it would be the people who I saw joy. And whether it was through taste or aroma or meeting new people or just having a great vacation finally. And so we help people kind of get to that place. And that was very joyful for us.
Yeah, I'm sure because you appreciate food and culinary. And so to see somebody else's face light up as a result of that, I'm sure was very rewarding. Did
Right.
you not hire, but did you partner with people or lean into people that you didn't think you ever would because you needed that help with the business?
Well, I had tour guides, if that's what you're asking, like
Yeah, yeah.
employees.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I put them through very, very rigorous training and interview process to decide on which people I wanted to hire as tour guides.
Mhm.
And I had a great group of people over the years. So, very, very blessed and fortunate that I found some good young people who were interested in taste and flavor and aroma and architecture on the plate and all of that stuff, so they could go out and be out there and engaging and be able to help people have a great experience.
Yeah, how, as a business owner, how did you find those people?
Advertising, promoting, pounding the pavement, just the way that any other entrepreneur does their
Sure.
thing. So you ask around, you ask a lot of questions, you place ads, you do whatever you can do. There were a lot of times where oh my gosh, I needed a food guide right now. And in the absence of having a new tour guide, that just means I'd be working that much more. So finding good people is more important than just finding anybody.
Sure. Oh, of course.
When you did that, though, I mean, there's a point where folks are teachable, coachable, and but you have your restaurants and your vendors that you're taking all these tours to, and there's a level of expectation. They've been on your list on your tour, either one because they try to pay you too much to be like bring people here, but no, for because you think it's worth the experience for the folks on the tour. And but now you've got to teach these guides that listen, you've got to taste this food each time to make sure that they're living up to the restaurants and the other food vendors are living up to the expectations, right? And how do they, like, if Lynn's seafood shack is starting to fall short, or they're trying to, you know what, instead of giving us cod, they gave us this instead,
Tilapia.
or
Yeah.
tilapia, and they're trying to slide under the radar with this. How did they come back to you and have to report it and tell you to make sure that, help me out.
That
I
it's
got it.
all up to your
That it was
standards.
there, yeah. I mean, you have a standard, it's your business, so.
There were many, many changes of venue over the years. So we would take people to approximately a dozen places each day. But if any of our vendors fell out of favor for one reason or another, we would just switch to someone else who wanted our business.
Okay.
So that was easy because there are a lot of people, a lot of mom and pops, a lot of other food purveyors and businesses who want to have more customers. So I could always guarantee customers. So if the quality went down at a certain place, I'd say, thank you very much. And we go to another place and kind of swap it out.
Okay. How many people were on a tour at one time?
13 usually. That's what our van held.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense. If you can't get them around in your van, then you got a whole other problem.
Right.
Making them walk or ride a bike or
Hanging on the
something.
back of it. You get to stand on the back bumper. Hold
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. It's your
But-
turn.
That was one of the aspects of the business that made it so successful, is that we pick people up in this really gourmet, delicious van, and we get them out of the touristy area and bring them to the parts of town they never would go on their own. Then we get down on the ground and then we walk around, and then we'd hop back in the van and then we'd go somewhere else. So they really got moved around a lot.
I love it. I love that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I'm sure you had people on you had restaurants and everything else on the wait list, like when the time comes, and you, as part of the business, got to go and, it's like, all right, Lynn, seafood check. Matthew, we want to be on your tour. Well, I'm going to have to come taste your food a few
Yeah.
different
Certain
times. And
standards. Yeah.
then you, as the food critic, probably slid in and tried it just to make sure. How did that work? I mean,
Well, that's a great question. There's a bit of a nuance there, because remember I said when I was writing restaurant reviews, I never let my identity be known. And then I transitioned into this business, which was like, I'm here. And so,
Surprise!
oh, so that's him, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was very interesting to go from someone who's like in the closet as far as identity is concerned out to out front in the public eye. So as far as tasting things, I could finally taste things for free, right? Because when I was restaurant reviewing, I could never take anything for free. And so, yeah, really was a transition, and it was a different change in style for me.
Sure. Did you find that when you revealed that you were the restaurant critic, it changed the dynamic of the restaurants you wanted to put on the food tour, as far as if they were willing to be a part of it or not?
Everybody wanted to be a part of it because everybody wants business. That's why you go into business.
Okay.
You want business.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and it was well publicized that Matthew Gray, the restaurant reviewer, is going to be opening up a food tour business. So everyone kind of in town in that realm understood what was happening. They heard about it or read about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
did you have anybody, like when you finally came out, previous restaurant critic,
Uh-huh.
that you had given a subpar review to, that still wanted to be on the tour, and you're like, nah, you're not quite there? I mean,
The people
How did that work?
whose asses I kicked didn't
Right.
come to me and ask to be on my tour.
Okay. Okay.
No.
All right. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all's fair, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So you-
I'm with you.
You rode off into the sunset back in 2020.
2020, when the shit show greeted us.
Oh, yeah,
we had a
that-
business.
Yeah, there is that
Yeah,
shit
that
show.
very dark part of our collective human history.
So yeah, because
Yeah.
it was all these. What the hell did you do then?
Yeah, what did you do?
I cried myself to sleep and felt anxiety and depression like everybody else.
Sounds like what
And-
every entrepreneur does.
Was thinking, oh my God, no income.
Right.
And then I said, well, if I can't guide you by the hand, I can write a book. And so I wrote a book called The Ultimate Eater's Guide, Hawaii Edition. And that was the next progression from when I woke up from my stupor of loneliness and anxiety and depression from COVID. The book is available. And so that was good, but then that wasn't enough. So then I figured, okay, I started connected with some physicians and scientists and medical people, and I tried coaching folks for their metabolic health and learning about food. And so I help people fight type 2 diabetes and obesity and help them lose weight and help them get healthy. And these are the things that really have been important to me. But living as a person who lives to excess and being that chef guy for so many years, that transition was another big one. So I do that a lot now. Half of our audience, guys, right now probably has type 2 diabetes or is obese or on their way to that. So
Yeah.
it's out of control. It's epidemic proportions. And so people like me have really taken it upon themselves to learn the science and help people out. That's what I'm doing a lot.
I just find, I remember being in the networking group here during the pandemic, and just all of us sitting around. We met every Tuesday morning, about 15 or 20 of us, just stunned, like, oh, what does this mean? What? Oh my God, And everybody kind of saying, I don't care. I'm not going to let it scare me. I'm just going to figure out another way to do it differently or do something completely different. I don't think it took anybody that long to kind of pivot and get over it.
We still got together as a network group during COVID.
Yeah, we did.
So there was that hurdle to overcome. It's
Right.
like, you don't have to show up.
Yeah.
We even Zoomed it for folks for
Yeah,
a while,
that's right.
for the people that didn't feel comfortable, remember?
Yeah, that's right. That was a blur. Yeah, it was an absolute blur. But I think that was like my sanity, just coming here every
Tell
Tuesday.
me, a nip of bourbon every day kept the COVID away. That's
Here, here.
That was it.
But I just find it so fascinating, the resilience of human beings in a situation like this. And everybody took a step back and said, either I do not like what I'm doing right now and I am done. I don't care what happens from this point forward, but I'm not going to go back to whatever it was. Or I love what I'm doing, but I can't do it in the way I used to do it because of all the restrictions. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently. And it sounds like you were able to make that happen with you. But the whole time in your whole career, it's always been about food. There's the line of commonality has been food, and now you're on to another adventure in that regard.
I do have one question as you go through that. That is a great point. But what I want to know is, I know it, but I'd like you to explain it to folks. The difference between type 2 and type 1 diabetes, because one is correctable and one is, you got to live with it.
Right. Yeah.
So you work with people with type 2 diabetes, which can be overcome, correct?
Absolutely, through diet. That is the way to do it. It can be done. So, friends, if you're watching right now and you need any help, you can contact me. I'll be happy to help. But yes, it's all diet related. If you want to reverse type 2, you can do it. You can get off the meds. And I know this firsthand. Once upon a time, I had type 2 and I was 60 pounds heavier than I am. And I took it upon myself to learn the science and get to know how to do this. And completely reversible. I'm on 0 medications.
Fantastic.
My dad's the same way. So he went through that about a year and a half ago or so. And he's like, yeah, I'm on type 2 diabetes. He goes, I got to watch this. I got to do this. And he had to change a lot of his diet to make it happen. And I'm not sure whatever level it was, he was way the hell up there. And now he's at like, maybe I'm wrong. In my head, it's like 125 or something, or way down there where it's manageable and he doesn't have to take the pills and pop himself in the thing. Help me out here. I want, because it's just
you're talking about blood sugar levels and so on.
Yes.
Okay. And the A1C that most doctors, all doctors will test for nowadays. So the key to getting healthy is reducing your diet as much as possible on the carbohydrate level. So if you eat proteins and fats, you'll be fine. So the word keto might sound familiar to some of you. Carnivore may sound familiar, but those are definitely the dietary lifestyles that will allow you to live a long, healthy life instead of a long, unhealthy life.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I know I went through, it must have been 3 years ago now, whole anti-inflammatory diet. The wine was not a part of that. Processed foods they were gone. I mean, just absolutely removed from my life.
How much turmeric did you ingest?
I did not ingest any turmeric.
Why?
I know. I heard it's good for
great
me. Yeah,
anti,
I know.
isn't it? Turmeric.
You don't, you really don't have to fudge around with any particular spice or herb or vitamin. Just stop eating carbs and your body will do the rest. I'm telling you, that is the key. So no sugar, no grains, no breads, no starchy vegetables, no fruit.
Yeah.
And, it's limited, but when you know what good health feels like, you don't worry about the other stuff, and you don't look for ways to say, oh, that's too hard, or I'll transition or whatever. You just do it. And some things require that and deserve that. And your health is one of them.
Do you, as a professional chef, you feel that to the dog? Yeah, she's like, I am here, shaking my head. Do you feel that the prevalence of processed food in our society is one of the biggest drivers of this high level of diabetes and also our sedentary lifestyle? Like, what's your opinion on
those? Are definite factors. But everything is processed. You're talking about really the dangerous stuff is the ultra high processed.
Yeah.
So anything you put in a bag is processed. So really you want to make sure that you don't eat the ultra high processed. And once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's about reducing the carbohydrates in your diet. That will reduce your inflammation. That will fight disease. That will help your brain be healthy. That'll fight Alzheimer's. So this is not just random BS. This is for real science. And so everyone's always looking for these magic bullets, but there are none. The best way to do it, reduce your carbohydrates, you're going to get healthy. Give me 30 days and I'll show you.
And then you have to hire him as your personal chef too. So that's
I'll
my
take it.
dream. That's my dream.
As your personal chef, but you got to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's always
that would be torture, wouldn't it, Darren?
Oh,
torture, especially in the winter.
I see hiking, swimming, surfing, fishing every day. Oh no,
so horrible. But it's always that conversation we have. I got a Mega Millions lottery ticket. Oh, you did? Yeah, and it's up to 5 million. What would you do with the money? I'm like, the first thing I would do is I'd hire a personal chef to just deal with the cooking, just the overwhelming thought in the background of like, what are we eating for dinner tonight? Do we have enough food in the fridge? So that would be my personal thing that I would do.
Smart. Lynn, I think that's really, really smart because I was made for people like you.
I know.
We can hire him, dude.
I know, it might happen.
A little bit of a fee. So now what do you do? Okay, you come out of that, you write the book, you got the podcast. When did the podcast launch out of this? Because
I started that between 1 and 2 years ago. I don't have the exact information in my head, but I'm thinking it's close to 2 years ago when I started thinking about getting into broadcasting a little bit. And everybody on earth has a podcast. I said, I should get back into the game because I'd done talk radio since the 80s.
Wait. We
That's
jumped
right.
over that.
Yeah, we completely hurdled over that. Yeah.
Let's talk about this talk radio thing a little. We got a couple minutes. How did you get into it? How long were you in it? And what and why? What was your topic and stuff?
Well, I'm a chatterbox, if you didn't already know that.
No, I didn't pick up on that at all.
Right. So I just was always willing to put out the hand and shake hands and rub elbows and make approaches and stuff like that. Something that the kids of today sorely miss. But I used to pound the pavement and get out there and meet people. So I pitched myself, and that has never stopped. And I decided to go after a couple of radio stations that had some good ideas. So that gave birth to a show called Matthew the Primetime Chef. And we used to take calls from listeners, and they were instructed to give us compelling reasons why I should leave the radio station that night and drive to their house and cook for them. And then we finish up my show from their house.
Stop! Oh my gosh! So you would cook like a dinner meal or a dessert or like what?
If the compelling reason was like from an emergency room staff at a hospital, that's where I'd be in 5 hours. I'd be cooking inside the middle of an emergency room or at the police precinct or, at a young girl's house while she was doing her laundry at 2 a.m. or whatever it might be. And so I went to all different kinds of places and cooked during that radio show. So in the studio for a while, taking calls, playing around, schmoozing, and then going out later and cooking for the winner of that night.
Oh my gosh. And would you go into great detail, like, okay, these are the ingredients I'm using, this is the recipe that I'm making, like just kind of have a conversation about it as you were doing it so the listeners can.
I wouldn't prepare menus with the winners. I would just say,
Okay.
this is what I have in my sack over here.
Okay.
I've got my saute pans. I've got the camping stove, and I'm going to be making you stuffed and dipped strawberries tonight. How does that sound? Everyone goes, yay. That's a
Okay.
good thing. And so going to their house was fun, or going to the and cooking for the person at the gas station cubicle, the cashier, and doing it there. So it would attract, hundreds, if not more, people, listeners from around the Southern California area to whatever locations. If there were public locations, it would attract people. And if not, it would just be someone's house.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And that was your idea, is your talk show? That's freaking brilliant.
I know, that is brilliant. And I'm like,
could you please bring that back? That is awesome.
I know.
I'm thinking about trying to get that back.
Oh, that would be so wonderful. Like the joy of giving. Well, first off, you said firehouse, and the guys at the firehouse that are in charge of the kitchen cooking for people take their shit seriously.
They sure do.
So I'm sure, did you do like a cook-off against the chef in the firehouse at all?
No, but they would always be the people who understand the art of cooking, the craft of cooking, would always be the ones who want to hang out. Or people who are really, really curious about that. But everybody was just kind of thrilled to be the winner. Everyone loves to win. It doesn't matter where you are, or who you are, what level of life you're at. You love to win. And when you win, it's a joy, it's a thrill, and people remember that.
I got news for you. This is a TV series right there. Definitely. If not, this is a YouTube podcast thing that's going to elevate to a TV series that you're going to have to sell to somebody. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was talking to Igor last week, and we were talking about the things that feed your soul.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is when we can see you deliver you have a deliverable that you get to a customer, to whomever, and it's a hard deliverable, and you do it because you get to share that experience with them. So as a chef, you make a meal for somebody, you get to see how much they enjoy the food, and that fills your soul.
Sure.
And there's those hard deliverables like that. There's other things like services and whatnot, that we, as the people like you write stuff for folks, and they appreciate it and they enjoy it, and you get to experience the joy that they get from what you write for them. You do the same thing with cooking, taking on my tours. It's a big damn deal.
It is. It's a huge deal. I can only imagine the glee on the listeners' faces listening to it, and then the person who won, like, oh my gosh, this guy's cooking for me.
You showing up at my house.
Yeah, I know.
It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. I think that there's no greater calling than service, being of service to people. And you're not less than when you're a people pleaser like me. It's like, that's where I get my energy from, is like seeing your smile, hearing you say, oh, wow, that's nice. That kind of thing. That's what I live for. And that's what I've always lived for. And I look forward to each and every day if I can do that. I love cooking for my wife. I love cooking for my kitties every day. I make them scrambled eggs in the morning. I make them chicken throughout the week, So no matter who it is I'm cooking for, human or otherwise, I'm happy because I can make people feel good.
And you are living, it sounds like, your authentic self, and it's through food. It's really.
It is. It is. I've never really worked for others. For the most part, it's been my own thing, creative or otherwise, whether it was my greeting card company or, my catering company or my liquor company or whatever I was doing. So, being able to make all my own choices has been a thrill. So it's been a good life so far.
I'm sure it's
He
been a
just
thrill.
throws out like 3 other things.
Well,
Like,
he's like you.
I
Like
know.
Darren tells me about every week. He just drops this little like, I used to do that. I'm like,
Mm.
like a Renaissance man. I'm like, what else have you done that I don't know about? I've known you for a while. Okay, that's a new one. So,
Well, Darren, like me, is probably highly unemployable. So we have to keep moving.
oh yeah, definitely. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Like, but all these other things. This should be 2 hours. I'm tempted to say let's stop this and have you back so we can do the second half of the greeting card business.
oh my goodness.
But as we said, you evolved into the podcast business, and that's kind of interesting too. I don't know why somebody who else goes into a podcast would be interesting to us. You? I can't
Because
quite
we have a
put my-
podcast.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right, thank you for picking through this slow pitch on that
yeah.
one. You got into the podcast, and how has it evolved for you? Because we could discuss this forever, but let's keep it short. Have you felt that you launched it, and have you been satisfied along the way? Have you felt there's road bumps? Do you feel like you're gaining the traction you need? Is it progresses over time? Just give me the Reader's Digest synopsis.
The Reader's Digest version of my experience with 50 Tastes of Gray has been very, very positive. I'm not there to monetize it. I don't have these wild fantasies of making a ton of money. You know, that's all in my past. So what I'm doing now is I'm enjoying my conversations. They're fruitful, they're beneficial, they're happy, they're healthy, they're full of laughter and education. I'm attracting some great people, like 2 and 3 million subscriber people from YouTube who I really appreciate and enjoy. So I don't have anything sticking me from behind saying, go here, do this. The hardest part of being a podcast host is when you're a one-man band like me, is learning the video editing and so on. I already have audio editing in my background because I've been in talk radio and the music world for a long time, but video editing is kind of new. So that's been the most difficult aspect of podcasts, but it has been great. Getting great guests, wonderful conversations. What more could you ask for?
That's how we are, the same way.
Yeah, I learn something new every week. I mean, I feel
Every
like
week that
just
you're actually here.
that I'm actually here. Yes. Yes, I have to travel for work.
Well,
A little
it's
too much sometimes.
I would say it's like, to me, it's like Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
Up until the point when the guest shows up on the show,
Yes.
when it's click
No,
join.
Darren, it's like getting an Amazon package. Oh, I know what I'm getting, but it's on the porch and I get to open it and like touch it and feel it. Not quite like Christmas Eve, but more like Amazon.
Christmas Eve. There's more excitement.
Well, Lynn, you
Maybe
have
you're
to just
joyful.
order more stuff so you don't know what's coming. So it'd be more of a
Exactly.
surprise.
That's kind of what's happening at our house.
Oh,
now.
I'm going to
Yeah.
start sending shit to your house from Amazon just to fuck with you the whole time.
Between my husband and I'm like, now what is this? Oh,
Oh,
that's
you're
not
going to get
mine.
some really unique gifts
Okay,
now.
I'll bring it on.
Hey,
Bring it on.
Linda, we're going to bust Lynn's balls this month. Let's see what happens.
Great.
This one's going to go to your husband.
Sausage
instead.
of the
It's
month
like,
club,
explain
whatever we
this.
can.
No, I get it. And it is for the joy. And we, for the longest time, it was like, let's not, to do sponsorships. Right?
Yeah, so we
And
didn't have to be
we,
holding.
we didn't.
Yeah.
But, and then we said, well, folks are asking us, people want to pay us and they want to advertise on our show. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Instead of keep self-funding this, we'll take a nominal. We're not gouging people at all. Like just enough to cover, like you said, we got to cover the video. We got to cover the hosting site. We have these expenses and it'd be better not to pay that out of pocket. And at least we just want to break even on that. We're not trying to go big, like, and it's nice. And it's the guest, it's you, it's Igor, it's Mandy, it's everybody we've had on the show that we get to learn from.
That I would have never met in the wild, right? I mean, I would have never met you, Matthew, or some of our other guests. I mean, it's amazing how more rich my life has become. I come home, my husband's like, who did you talk to? We talk about what we talked about, it exposes him to other concepts and ideas. So yeah.
We've had some incredible folks on the show, you included, and you probably have too. And I remember back when, and I hope your podcast has transitioned over time, because in the beginning it was, we were asking people to be on the show. And there were weeks it was like, oh boy, who can we get to be our guest this week? Because we don't have somebody. And all of a sudden one day it was, holy cow, we have so many people on the show. Like I had somebody the other day, and they're like, hey, listen, I'm trying to book on your calendar but I'm not seeing anything available. And I had to switch the time frame.
Yeah.
Because we're booked out so far in advance now. And are you the same way? Have you felt that, or how's it happen for you?
It's a little bit hit and miss as far as getting guests who I think are going to be a good fit for me. I don't really care what realm of business or life they're in, but if they have the social skills and the conversational skills, then I'll book them. So if I go 2 weeks between shows, it's not a big deal to me, as long as I get the right person. So it's quality, not quantity for me.
We'll be on the show if you want. Just
okay.
I'll be happy.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Or Lynn, or you could have two fillers in between. You could interview Lynn and then me, or have us on together. We'd be happy to.
I want to talk about pimento cheese, shrimp and grits, and how bad okra is. I'll talk about all things South.
Good.
All things Southern from a Northern person's perspective.
I have changed the minds of a lot of people who say so-and-so, I would never eat it. So one person pops into mind right away, the guy who does Ask Your Computer Guy podcast or show on YouTube, Scott. He said he and his wife are not beet people. They hate beets. And that's how they knew it was love at first sight when they shared that incredible information that they didn't like beets. Well, I turned him around because I told them how to do it. Technique, right? So I taught them how to do it. They did it, and now they're like, love beets. Thank you very much. And so I do that for people a lot. So if you say you hate okra, I might take that challenge.
Okay, it might happen.
Just like you don't like boiled peanuts.
Oh, God.
They're so good.
God.
They're
Big
so
in
good.
Big in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. But beets, when you take beets and you put them, anytime we're in a restaurant and we see like the beet and goat cheese on a salad with a vinaigrette, and there's like candied pecans on it. Holy snap biscuits.
The candy pecans are there to hide the taste of the beets.
No. And the beets are so good for you.
I know.
They really are, except if you're on a carnivore or keto diet. Low carb, don't eat beets often.
Yeah.
But they're high in iron. They're delicious. Yeah. It's just when growing up in Cleveland, in Syracuse, New York.
The pickled beets.
Just the can into the pot, and it's like that.
Lynn, that's what gets a lot of people. It's the pickled aspect, not because of fresh beet that's been roasted and it's sweet and it's amazing. You would love that.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll give you that.
Matthew, I got to tell you what.
Yes,
this has
been
so
great.
much fun.
Yeah.
We actually ran over time, and we appreciate you staying on with us. And we could just
riff on and on and on.
That's why I said I have to shut up, because I had so many questions and I had to stop.
Yeah, asking questions.
Well, don't hold back next time, Darren.
Next time, okay. I won't hold back next time.
Got that.
But
okay.
Matthew, again, thank you for being our guest today. I was so excited when I saw food walking tour.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Lynn, I'm just as excited because you're back in the studio today.
I am too. I feel like I'm back with the living, with my people.
Here we are, all your peeps looking in.
Yeah.
I got to tell you what, everybody, I can't tell you, it's an amazing new year. We have more astounding guests, just like Matthew, lined up for you. And if you enjoyed this show, share it with somebody. Just share it. I don't care about the reviews.
Just share it. Say, hey, you might be interested in this.
I'll tell you what, I laughed my ass off.
Mm-hmm.
I learned this amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
That's it. So anyway, Lynn,
Darren,
take us out.
And we will see you next time. Thank you, Matthew.
Thanks, guys. Aloha.
Okay, we're off recording.
But we're on video.
Yeah, we're
so-
still on videos. Thank you so much. So fascinating. You have such a career journey, to talk
Yeah,
about.
it's been really creative to take a look at all that stuff, and you can only see it when you look back, right, and connect the dots.
Yeah, and
Oh,
connecting the dots.
I
Yeah.
want to know about all these other things. Honestly, I don't care about Lynn. I would love to have you back on.
Sure you do.
You like threw in these little things like the greeting card business, this business, and that business. And I want to know more about that. I want to know more about the guests you had on the show. Plus, I'm gonna put you in touch with some other folks that we've had on the show who are in the food business.
Mandy
This is
Naglich,
Mandy Naglich, her book,
How to Taste.
How to Take, which you have.
Do I? I thought I gave that back to you.
Oh no, then we gave it away.
Okay.
I gotta buy another
Don't
book.
blame me.
It's great. It's an amazing book. She would be on your podcast. Another one, Erica, when you weren't here for that one, she has this company called Global, GOLBOWL Foods, which is like baby food for 6-month-olds and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But the food is fucking incredible.
Really?
Her kids had, her child had sensitivity to certain
To
things that were in
certain things.
foods, and so it's all natural.
Yeah, but it's even better than that because it introduces the kids at an
Oh, that's
early
right.
age, so
Yeah.
it knocks it out of their system.
Mhm.
But it's like you're getting Boo Boo Guy Pan and you're getting this, and actually I got some for Nora
Oh, did you?
and I
Oh.
sent it to the kids, and she ate that up so much. Like
Oh.
it's gourmet, really good food that's good for the kid. I'll put you in touch with her.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, the more the merrier. If you got some great people,
I got a
on
lot
joke.
of
Whiskey
people.
guy,
yeah.
what's his name? The
Maybe.
ugly toad. The
Yeah.
ugly toad guy.
I can't think of the toad. I've got him.
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
Adam, who has the Tiende Inteligente, which is a high-end tequila. It's an añejo tequila, and they're selling one for like $200.
Chocolate guy.
Chocolate guy, yeah.
Mhm.
Like Gardone.
Yeah.
I will line you up with guests. And they
Oh, is
all-
Gardone? Is he the red chocolate guy?
Yes.
Red
Yeah.
chocolate.
We talked to him.
What'd you think of him?
He was fun. He's
Yeah.
crazy.
We met him on twice.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
all over the
Everything.
place. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I have people, we have people all across the different industries. We've actually, Glenn might do it
Do what?
from Hop City.
Glenn?
Not Glenn, why am I thinking of?
Oh.
Oh
Oh.
shit, he's gonna kill me.
The restaurateur from Hop City.
Restaurateur, but
Yeah.
why can't I think of? He has a certain thing that he was inaugurated
Yes.
through the original
Craft.
the Bavarian
Yeah.
beer, the original Bavarian.
It was like a craft beer guild of Bavaria. He was
Bavaria, like the
knighted.
one of the oldest guilds, and he was
Yeah, he
knighted
was
from
knighted into
Craig.
that. Yeah, Craig. Yeah.
Jesus, he'll kill me
Yeah,
when I
he
see him next
will.
time.
No, we're not recording. Oh, we're the videos.
Video part. Craig, I'm sorry, but I haven't seen you in a while. We haven't talked, so buddy, reach out. But yeah, we have so many folks that have been on that are in or around the food industry that I'll be happy to introduce you to, and I'm sure they will all
Be thrilled.
thrilled.
Yeah, just make mention to them that about my show. Have them take a look at it. If they dig the style and the vibe, then we'll have a great show.
No, I won't make mention, and I will force them to.
Strong arm them into
I'll come
it.
in there. I mean, hey, I'll tell you what.
Yo.
You either get on Matthew's podcast, I'm coming by, I'm gonna cap you on the fucking knee, all right? This is how it's gonna happen.
Did I mention
Hey, guys.
we swear a little bit on this? Yeah, so
Excuse me?
we swear a little bit on the show. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's perfectly acceptable. As long as it's not within the first 30 seconds, I think is what YouTube frowns upon.
So what it is.
I think you're right.
So you mentioned, I do want to say that you wrote a book,
Yeah.
and it's called what again? What is it?
Ultimate Eater's Guide, Hawaii Edition.
Okay.
Ultimate
I want to
Guide.
put that in the show notes.
Yep.
If there's anything else that you want in the show notes, you know what? Let me kill the video right now.
Okay.
Just so we can chat without being on camera.
Do you have to run, Matthew?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
let's do it the right way. Where the hell's the stop? That big red thing up
Big
there.
red button. There you
It
go.
says stop video.
There you go.
It's pretty freaking